Hi, my name's Catherine. I'm the Pocket Strategist, and I work with business founders and business leaders to help them find clarity, direction, and create a bespoke strategic plan to help them create lasting business success. So, I've decided to make a big change within my business for summer 2024 because this summer has not been working for me and I'm frustrated, and I'm not going to walk into next summer knowingly doing something that isn't working. If something isn't working within my business, then I'm going to make a change. So this summer, I have been feeling incredibly frustrated. I'm a single mom, I've got 2 children, and I run my own business. And I have felt like I have been doing nothing well. I've had half a toe in running my business, half a toe spending time with my children, and it does not feel good. And before I dig in further into talking about my plan and why this isn't working for me, I would just like to caveat this video. I'm talking from my own personal perspective. You might listen to this video and think, actually, you think the way that I've set up this summer is perfect and you would love to try that. And that could be really great for you. You might think about how I'm going to set up next summer and think that totally isn't for you. That's all okay. This is for me and my life and what works for me. And I'm sharing this because it might give you some inspiration. It might give you some ideas of what you could change within your business if you wanted to make a change to make things work better for you. Or it might also give you inspiration listening, thinking, I definitely don't want to do some of that stuff. But I have had so many conversations with people where they have been saying the juggle of the summer, we've all heard it, the juggle of the summer is really difficult and you just have to grin and bear it. You just have to get through it. And I am not one for sitting back and not fixing a problem. So the reason this summer is not working for me is because my children have 9 weeks off. And I planned very carefully, very knowingly to work part-time throughout the summer so that I could get to spend time with the girls and I could keep the business running. But doing that over 9 months is a very long time. And for me, I'm happy to work 4 days a week, but on some weeks I've been working 2 days a week and it does not feel good. I want to do so much more in my business. I'm in the growth phase of my business and it feels like I'm being held back. And one of my values is freedom. And at the moment, I don't feel like I have freedom. And by freedom, I mean freedom to choose to do what I want, freedom to develop in ways that I want, freedom to spend time with my children. But at the moment, it just feels like none of that is working. And I do not want to knowingly go into next summer knowing I'm going to feel the same way, knowingly do something that isn't working for me this year. And it's really important to me. I talked about this on a post on LinkedIn and asked for suggestions, and some people said, well, just put the children in childcare. And absolutely, I could do that and I could work more, but I don't want to do that. I would like to spend time with my children over the summer and be present because it's really precious time. Being a single parent, I don't see my children all the time. They also have incredibly long days when they are in school. And so when it comes to the holidays, I want to maximize that time. Plus, I love spending time with my children and I want to be able to do that. But I also want to build my business, and there is a way to find a happy medium between the two. And so next summer, so August 2024, I'm going to take 4 weeks off and I'm not going to do any client work. And I'm going to talk a little bit further later on about what I am and what I'm not going to do. But effectively, I'm going to take the 4 weeks off. And for me, that feels really good right now. I might get to next August and do it, and I know it will have its own challenges and it might not work how I want. It might not work as expected. In the same way this summer, I haven't felt as expected and it hasn't worked as expected. And that's okay, because running a business is all about trial and error, trying new things and seeing what works. And if it doesn't work, shift it, change it, try something else. And for me, taking 4 weeks off right now feels like a better solution than being part-time over 9 weeks and feeling like I'm not doing anything very well. By my nature, I am very much all in or all out. I When there's that just half doing everything, that doesn't work for me. And to give you an example, when I set up my business, I didn't have a side hustle. I didn't get clients on the side. I handed in my notice and started from scratch. I'd made savings because I knew that I couldn't have my job and run a business on the side, and I couldn't give enough what I would want to my business to grow it. I'm definitely all in. When I go all in, I go all in. So my next summer, I am going to be working up until August, as I normally will. I am going to plan childcare for my children. So that means through July, they will be in clubs or with members of family. And I will likely take Fridays off because I do that occasionally throughout the year anyway. Or I may not. It depends where my business is at that point. But effectively, until August, it will be business as usual. And then in the month of August, I'm planning to take 4 weeks off. And by 4 weeks off, I will not be doing any client work. So I've already booked that time in my calendar. So I can't book any client work in that time. I am not going to plan to deliver any projects in that time. I am not going to plan to be front of house in the business. So for example, actively on social media. I'm going to use that time I can take time completely away from the business and not do anything if that's what I want. But if I want to deliver some back office projects, if I want to work on things behind the scenes, if I want to develop ideas, if I want to show up on social media a little bit, I can, but it's my choice and I can do whatever I want, whatever I feel, with no deadlines, no pressure. I will just see. But what I'm going to make sure I do is, I don't know whether 1 or 2 weeks, but I think probably the first 2 weeks of August, I will take as holiday, which means that I have that separation and break. And so then at the end of those 2 weeks holiday, I am less likely to want to dip into the business. This is what I think now. It might feel very different when I do it, to help me follow through on the 4 weeks. But I like the fact that I'm going to leave it open and I'm going to see how it goes. And I'm not going to hold myself to, you can't do anything in the business, because I might have some amazing ideas, and I might want to be active, and the girls might go off and be with friends, and I might want to do something else, and that's okay. It's in my gift and my power to do that. But I don't want to have any pre-planned project, any client work, any things that I have to do. I just want to see how it goes. And so to prepare myself for the summer, one, I've already booked the time out in my calendar. So I work with some clients for 12 months. So I already know now that those people who I would work with in August, I can't. So I will work with them in the months either side. And the way my business is set up, I've intentionally set up my business to be able to give me flexibility in the way I work with my clients. So I work with my clients for strategy days, full days. So some people it's a one-off, some people it's every 6 months, and other people it's every quarter, and it's one day through that time. And so it means that I have flexibility in my business model to plan my calendar however I want. And so I plan in advance what days I will deliver strategy days. And so I will just keep that running up until next August and beyond, and plan my days around that August. And it will likely mean that my July and September are going to be more busy than normal, but that's okay. I will reduce the projects that I'm doing in the back of my business to focus on client work, to make sure that I'm seeing the people that I need to. And that will then mean I am able to take that time off in August. I don't work inside other people's businesses, which makes it a bit easier for me to do this. And I also don't, I'm not constantly in communication with my clients. So people do work with me through WhatsApp and email, but they do it on a month by month basis. And it would just be in August, they can't book that, and that's okay. I also have a separate phone number for business, so I can put my change my message on that. So that's not a difficulty. And where I have business friends who I normally talk to, I can keep talking to them if I want. That's all okay. It's really the front facing stuff that I am definitely going to stop, and then I will see how things go in the back end. So that's what I'm going to work on. That's how I feel like next summer's going to go. And obviously I need to put some things in place to be able to make that happen. So one, I already have lots of automations within my business and systems set up. One of those systems is I use a project management tool, and I plan out all the work that I'm doing with dates. And so what I will do over the next year, and particularly in the run up to next August, is make sure that when I'm planning in work, I'm carefully planning it in outside of August, but also I'm not overloading July and September. And so when I'm planning my goals and projects and doing my quarterly planning, I will take into consideration that the time that I'm going to have off, and I'm not going to overload myself. So I think it will look like earlier on in the year, I will be doing more new projects within my business. And towards the summer, things will lighten off so that I can back up, focus on client work more. I will also focus more on business development in the first 6 months of the year, and again slow up towards the summer, probably tailing off July, August, September, and then picking back up again. So I need to make sure that I'm looking at my forecasting, my plans, and making sure that I'm mapping that in. I also with systems and automations, I use lots of templates, which means that I can take work off my plate. It also means that I can bring team in to support me. So I already work with a copywriter. I sporadically work with a virtual assistant. And by the time I get to next August, I will be working with a virtual assistant consistently. And what that means is my copywriter can help me make sure that I'm sending out my emails throughout August, and we will front load those and automate those to go out, which is fine. I will also work with them and my VA to make sure that I have my social media content written and scheduled to go out. And I won't put loads of social media content out because I'm not going to be there to respond. And I do like to respond and be active because social media, it's being social, but I would like a presence on there. And so we will schedule things in advance. And then I will also have the VA there. So if people do leave messages, they can go in and check them and make sure that messages are being responded to. I will also put the out of office on my emails, and if I want to, I might check in on emails and clear some, but I think it's more likely I will ask my VA to do that and to go in and sort out my inbox. And if there's anything that desperately needs responding, which I think is very unlikely, I guess if I have people inquiring about my services, then I will get my VA to respond then to say, either get them to book a call for me, but other queries that can wait, they can wait until September, until I'm back. So I'm not going to be active in my emails at all. In fact, I'm not really planning on checking them at all. I'll leave that to the team. I'll make sure that I've got my out of office on. So on my out of office, I will be very clear that I'm not there. I will also make sure that I communicate to all of my clients, prospective clients. I will talk about it on my socials. I will send out an email so that people know in the run up that I'm not going to be about in August. So if there are people planning on working with me or needing something from me, we will talk about that far in advance and they will know that it's happening, so I can fully prepare people. However, like I said, I will have a virtual assistant there to answer questions. And also, if my business keeps growing the same way as it is, I might also have somebody else there working within my business who may even continue to deliver client work if things continue growing. So my team might even be further expanded, which makes it a bit easier for me to leave. I also, thinking about team and systems, I am going to be pulling together all my SOPs, standard operating procedures. So basically, that's the guidelines as to how to do things within my business. So it means that when I'm not there, the rest of the team know how to do things, what they need to be doing without having to ask me, and that they're really clear. And just generally when running a business, these are brilliant to have in place when you bring on team, because it means that you know people are delivering tasks and doing the work in the way that you need them to do, basically in a standard way, standard operating procedures. So those are the main people who are going to help. That's what I'm going to set up within my business. I'm going to make sure that I clearly communicate with people in advance, and I'm going to set up other things to work behind the scenes as I can, so that I'm not off work thinking, oh God, I've forgotten this or I've forgotten that. And if I do, it's not the end of the world. I can contact a virtual assistant or and get them to do it for me. So accountability to make sure that this happens. So I'm already holding myself accountable because I've booked the time out of my calendar. So I can't book any client work within my calendar now. That's done. I am also added it to my 2024 goals. So although I'm not looking at my 2024 goals, I do run a list of things that I think I would like to focus on next year, and things that I would like to do within the next 3 years. So I've added it to that. So my goals are pretty solid and they don't change a huge amount, not the big ones like that. And so I'm going to make sure that that happens. And then accountability for the actual month. I don't need that because I have the power to choose to do whatever I want. So if I decide that I end up wanting to work, I will. And that's okay. I'm not going to do client work. It will be back-end work. And even if I do, I'll just see how it goes. I don't need to have somebody there to stop me working. I'm sorry, you can see my arm moving. It's my cat's battling to get on the screen. And so I don't feel like I need accountability to not work, because actually I'm going to be setting it up so that I won't be working, and anything I do is a bonus and behind the scenes. So, and talking this out now and talking about my plan and how I'm going to think about things, it feels really good to me. It really does. And I am pretty sure I will come up across some hiccups and some of it might not go to plan, but that's okay. The same has happened this year. And so it's just trialing something different. I hope that gives you a bit of an overview of how I'm going to plan to take off next August. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge amount of time, because if you think about it, I would be taking 2 weeks off for holiday anyway. It's just then another additional 2 weeks where actually activity is going to continue within my business. I'm going to be tinkering behind the scenes, hopefully not too much, but a little bit. And actually having that 4 weeks of brain space to think, just settle myself, I think will do me the world of good. As well, having that break and having that downtime. Although I'm good throughout the year having holidays, having an extended period of time, I'm really interested to see how that impacts me in a positive way, and hopefully it will be super positive. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope you found that interesting. Maybe you've taken a few nuggets away. If you have any questions to ask me about any of this, please do send me a message. And if you have any ideas or tips, I'm totally open. This is going to be a really new thing for me to do, a learning opportunity, and I would love to hear from any of you, any tips and advice you have to make this work as best as possible. Right, take it easy and enjoy the rest of your summer.